So today here at the UK Drum Show, we managed to have a little interview thing with a company called Scan. They've worked really closely with musicians and bringing them really close into the streaming world.
They work closely with Elgato.
They worked really well with musicians to develop them into streamers and helping them stream their music and their hobbies and their jobs to wider services such as YouTube, Twitch, Kick, so on and so forth. And we're just going to take you through a little video of their setup that they have here at the UK Drum Show.
And while Jarvis is on the camera actually talking to the people from Scan, I'm the one who's holding the camera, and I will actually sit behind the drum kit and show you some of the equipment that they're using and show you how it changes on the screen, and try and zoom in as much as I can to like the little cool like stream decks that they're using and the different type of equipment that they're actually using to accomplish the setup.
Sounds good to me. Right, let's go. So with the previous clip, we kind of saw like how everything was being played, but how does all of this whole stream setup work? Because there's a few people which have seen actually play with this kind of setup, but I have no idea how any of this works or how it all links up. Would you mind kind of telling us how everything
so everything we've got here is from Elgato. Elgato is the #1 streaming accessory brand in the world, mostly from game streamers.
Yeah.
But that just means that it's priced really competitively because of that.
Yeah.
So it's not pro-level pricing. All the cameras, so like the ones we've got here, these is the brand new Facecam Pro 4K 60 FPS. It's an amazing webcam. It's just incredibly high end. They're all USB-C.
USB-C as well.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
so you don't need a capture
really
card.
useful.
It just goes directly into your computer.
Okay, yeah.
And then, so we've got it set up here. The lights are also Elgato, and that's one thing that most streamers often forget about.
Yeah.
Especially if you're drum streaming, you're going to have a light at the top on the ceiling that's shooting down. That'll get you a lovely overhead. It won't light your face up. So the one thing that you do need to do if you're going to think about drum streaming is at least have one light at the front on your face.
Yeah.
If you forget about the green screen, that's it, because that adds a whole new layer of complexity to it.
Yeah.
Actually, it's fairly simple to go. So we've got one camera on the front and one camera up above the kit that's doing the overhead.
Okay.
We've also got one of the smaller ones down here on a pedal cam.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to come down here and sit on the kit, and you can see the screen. So you can see we've got a basic setup with the green screen, and we're putting a chroma key on. And then here on the top of the module, we've got a little switcher. And in the same way that you change preset on on the module to get a different sound, you can change your camera angle to the overhead or the pedal cam. There's 6 buttons here, so you can also go close up on the snare. Because the camera's in 4K and we're outputting in 1080 for streaming,
Really
it means
awesome.
we can crop in off the exact same shot. And the same thing, you can do a composite and you can get a couple of shots on at the same time, or you can go and do a close-up. So that's just the keying, close-up and cut in off the same camera. So it's like multiple shots off the same one. Okay, of course, the only downside with that is you've got to stop playing in the same way you would do to go and change the sound on the module.
Yeah.
So Elgato have come up with a pedal. So on the floor, next to the hi-hat pedal, we've got 3 different buttons. So you can choose that one of them will do the overhead, the center one goes to, that's the pedal cam on the right. And the center one goes back to the front camera.
Sweet.
So you can easily integrate that whilst you're playing and being able to respond. So if you've got to do a one-man stream, then it's totally plausible to be able to do it. But the cost of entry now is really rather good, because the 4K cameras £300 each, normal price. The
4K, that's not a bad price.
no,
that's
it's
actually
pretty unheard of.
really good,
4K
yeah.
60. So it's a really sharp, fast picture that you're going to get. You'd be up there in the top 5% of Twitch streamers with this setup with these two 4K cameras.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, it's not. So if you think about it, okay, so 600 quid.
These
for
are
those,
nice cameras too. Like
Sort of
they're just
100,
really good.
180 quid on the for the face cam, which we've got on the pedal shot. You're under a couple of £100 on the light, and that light panel. All these lights are only on about half power.
Half power.
Yeah,
It's this bright.
and they're Wi-Fi controlled, so they'll control off your computer.
Okay.
It saves the settings. It'll come back on when you're there, so you can change the color balance and the brightness.
Oh wow.
Either off the computer or your phone. So it's a real step up. But the controls being
Yeah,
based
yeah.
for streaming. All of this has been designed for streaming specifically. So things like you can turn off autofocus on the camera.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like you can lock the focus, because obviously if you've got a little bit of movement,
It's-
and
yeah,
you're playing
it-
a game in
it
the same room,
Like
it's little things like that that really make a difference.
yeah. Well, that has been super helpful. Like that's.
But yeah, I mean, realistically,
Nuts to think
just
about.
over £1,000, and you've got a really good streaming setup.
Which I mean, with that these days, that's pretty standard price to kind of get any kind of.
Yeah, if you
Content
think
going.
about it, I mean, one DSLR camera and a lens is probably going to set you back more than that anyway.
Yeah,
and you still need a capture card, and
Yeah.
it's got bigger latency.
And then there's like multiple more wires, and like there's.
Yeah, it's just an extra level of
it's like-
complexity.
It's like that's go through another software.
and
to
you've
run
only
something
got
else.
one camera.
Yeah.
You haven't even got the overhead.
Yeah.
At least with this, it's a lightweight camera. You can use a small clamp to mount it to the ceiling.
It's hot.
Cam is even lighter as well, the 1080 version.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to set up and get in. The only thing that you have got to consider when doing any form of streaming isn't necessarily how powerful your computer is, but how many
strong your Wi-Fi is?
USB
Oh yes.
ports. It's not. In fact, it's not even ports. It's how much bandwidth they have.
Yeah.
So it can get challenging when you have multiple 4K cameras. You may need a new computer with sort of higher spec or like
Yeah,
Thunderbolt. Ironically, if you're on a Mac, it's actually really good because
Really?
they've all got Thunderbolt. You've got
Okay, yeah.
multiple USB channels,
Yeah.
and it's a lot easier to set up. And if you've got to set a dock up, the Thunderbolt dock works really well.
Sweet. Well, that has been amazing, and this is definitely something that people should look for. Like,
Yeah,
like
well, certainly. And if, we're used to this. If you want to come and have a chat to us, send us details of your room. Send us some pictures. We look at what different mounts it is that you can have cameras, because it's not one size fits all. It's dependent on your setup. You might have a table, you might have a desk, you might have other things in the way in case. So one size of stand wouldn't work. So it's like, right, we'll get a different size of
Yeah.
stand. We'll get a table clamp one. We'll get one that comes from the ceiling. And
Yeah.
It's stuff like that. And the good thing now is, even with the cameras, 5 meter cable. I've managed to get a 5 meter USB-C cable,
That's
and it
good,
works
yeah.
perfectly. So it's great. The positioning now is better than it's ever been.
yeah. Sweet.
Well, thanks a lot for coming.
Yeah, no,
over.
that's been an absolute pleasure.
Nice work. Yeah, and if they want to come to scan, and then we'll look at after you. Say you saw your video, and we'll do some of a special deal.
Shall do.
Nice one.
Right, sound awesome. Let's carry on. Okay, so we just have like a little interview thing with the people over at Scan about how the whole like drum stream setup works. But it was really cool to like have a look into how that whole thing works.
I thought it was a really cool interview, and the fact that they were so cool with it and they let us do it, like, we explained up and asked, like, do you mind if we could like just film an interview and explain how all of this works and like all the different bits, and show like yeah, sure, like no problem. The fact it was so nice to do that, I feel it was really cool with them. So I'm fine where they are.
I'm super excited. Let's carry on mooching.